Hey guys, so in today's video I'm going to be going through how I would personally budget a £51,000 annual salary in the UK if I was a single person. Now for this I will have to make many assumptions and many scenarios because I'm just kind of doing this for illustration purposes, but the point of these videos is to just give you some ideas of how you can work your budget to build long-term wealth, but to also live and enjoy life at the same time. So far I have done a £21,000, £31,000, £41,000, and now today I'm doing a £51,000 salary. So if this one seems very different to what you're doing, to what you're earning, then you can check out the other videos in the playlist. But also next I will work up to 61 and then probably I'll do 71 next, just to give you some ideas to cover hopefully a wide array of people who may be watching my videos. First of all, let's just start by looking at the take-home pay. So I always use the salary calculator. I find it to be very useful and helpful just to get an idea of what your actual take-home pay is. So for this budgeting video, I've decided to assume that this person would contribute 5% to their pension every single month. So 5% of their salary automatically goes towards their pension, which I think should be the bare minimum that anyone should really contribute. But even at a £51,000 salary, I would probably actually try to up that, but I'm going to leave it at 5% for now. Now you can see here that we've got quite a few different take-home pays at the bottom, and this actually is very helpful, especially with what's going on with the national insurance changes this year. So personally for me, I've been on this website myself to type in my salary and to actually see what the fluctuations are, because I need to know in terms of budgeting, because I like to budget 6 months to a year in advance. So you can see here that we've got the 2022 take-home pay, which is saying £3,013.62, which is what it would be after your pension contributions, national insurance and tax. That would be the net pay. But from July 2022, that is actually going up. So it would be £3,043, and that's to do with the national insurance changes that were recently announced. If you click the question mark, it actually tells you why that is going up. Then 2021 take-home pay, you can see it was actually even more, but again that's gone down because of the recent changes, tax changes and national insurance changes. So what I'm going to use for this video is the 2022 take-home pay of £3,013, but as of July that will go up a little bit, but it is a bit less than it would have been in the 2021 tax year. So I've plugged that in here, so what the projected income would be. I'm going to be using the monthly budget tab on my spreadsheet. I have a yearly budget tab as well, but it's easier to use the monthly budget one for the purposes of these videos. So I've plugged in the salary already. I've put the same numbers in projected and actual because it just makes it easier, so you're not seeing any differences over here. But if you were using the spreadsheet yourself, you would put what you project it to be, and then you'd put what the actual numbers are, because that can fluctuate, your income can fluctuate, your expenses can fluctuate, so you can kind of track both. So, as you can see here, we've got all of the different categories in this budget spreadsheet. So we've got household bills, groceries and food, transport, insurances, fund and subscriptions, giving, donating, life events, sinking funds, debt repayments, investments and savings, and other. So I've already budgeted it all out ahead of this video, so I can just go through it with you. And so the total has come to £3,010, which leaves a surplus of £3 a month. So let's go through what I have done for each. So for household bills, I have estimated that this would be £800 a month for mortgage or rent. Now, this is assuming that this is, again, a single person living in the UK, and this would be to rent a 1-bedroom flat or a studio or something like that. Now, £800 is pretty realistic. I've looked it up on Rightmove and stuff. In the southeast of England, you can probably get it cheaper up north, but £800 you could make it work if you're going to be humble and you're willing to have, a studio flat or a 1-bedroom flat. Now, this is not going to get you a 2-bedroom spacious place, but it'll get you enough to live in a decent place, in a decent apartment, decent flat. So £800, okay, but realistically, if it really was me, I would be living in a house share or splitting bills with somebody else, because still I feel like it's a little bit high for this type of salary. Because after mortgage and rent, we still have council tax. So I've put £150 for council tax, and then I've put £200 for utilities. Before, I would have maybe put utilities at £130, but with the recent increase in prices, yeah, £200 is a lot more realistic. Then for broadband and TV, £30, because this is not, assuming this is not being split with anybody else. And then the TV license is £13. Actually, I think it's like £13.57. So I'll just put £14 in there. So we can see that household bills come to a total of 40% of this total budget, which is on the high side. So really the goal should be 30 to 35% for all of your household bills, your mortgage, your utilities, etc. 40% I would say is on the high side, but at the same time, this is realistic for a lot of people. 40 to 50% of their income are going towards household bills. But again, if this was me in this situation, I would do a house share in order to slash that rent bill down quite significantly. So next we've got groceries and food. £160 for one person is £40 a week, which even with the increase in prices is more than doable. For two of us, we currently spend around £50 to £55 a week. So £40 is more than sufficient. 3-ish years ago, 3.5 years ago, when I was shopping for myself, I would spend around £20 to £25 a week, but I don't think that is as easy to do anymore. But £40 I still think is a generous budget. £75 for restaurant takeaway. Could be a bit more, but I think because we want to encourage saving and investing, £75 for this budget is probably the max I would go. And then for work lunches, £100 a month, is equivalent to £25 a week, which again, if you're willing to get a meal deal every now and then, you know, and kind of keep those costs a bit lower, that should be sufficient really. So for groceries and food, that takes up 11% of the budget, and I think anywhere from 10 to 15% is a good amount. So this I'm quite happy with. Now for transport, I'm assuming this person has a car and that they don't use public transport, but if, you know, that was different and this person used public transport but didn't have a car, then all of this budget could go towards the public transport category. But I've put £160 for fuel because again, prices have gone up. I probably would have had that a bit lower before this year, but you know, have to take into consideration the increased costs. Road tax, I've put £20. Depending on what car you have, this could be £0 actually, or this could be £5 or £10, or it could be a bit more. So this is just an estimation. MOT and service, obviously the MOT is only once a year, but I think it's good to just put aside £15 a month for this. Now this could actually go again in the life event sinking funds. I think I mentioned that in the previous video, but I've just put it here. So you could play around with this if you had this budget spreadsheet. So transport is coming to a total of 6%, which could be considered on the low side. So anywhere from 5 to 10% is probably realistic, but 6% happy with. You could add a bit of extra money to public transport, but yeah, overall, I think that's a good amount. Now for insurances, this should always be quite low. Car insurance, I put £40 a month, house insurance £10 a month, life insurance £10 a month, and mobile insurance £10 a month. All of these insurances are so cheap, and I think things like house insurance, life insurance, and mobile insurance, it's worth getting because they're so cheap. You never know what's going to happen, and I just think for the peace of mind of having these, it's worth including in the budget. So as you can see, it's only 2% of the total budget, so it's not much at all. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Now car insurance could be much higher depending on your age, where you live, the type of car you drive, but it also could potentially be lower. And then house insurance, I think generally £10 to £15 is house or contents insurance. If you're a renter, renter's insurance is pretty realistic. Life insurance could be a lot more, again, depending on your age. So next we've got fun and subscriptions. Always put aside some fun money. So I've got £160 for this a month, which is £40 a week. I think that's a fair amount considering you've still got money for restaurants and takeaway. And this doesn't include anything like self-care or anything. So £40 a week, I think you could potentially get by on. Mobile phone and plan, I've put £15. And this of course is assuming you are only paying for the SIM and you've paid for your phone outright. This would be higher if you're paying for your phone every month. Clothing, £30 a month, could be considered on the high side, could be considered on the low side, depending on how you spend. I actually don't even have a clothing budget right now, but I think I need to add this because sometimes it's just nice to be able to tap into a pot to buy clothes when you need them, clothes and shoes when you need them. Then self-care, £30. I think this is important, especially for women, but no, for women and men alike. Any self-care, this could be whatever you consider to be self-care. Gym membership, £20, that's pretty standard across the UK. And then Netflix, £10 and Spotify, £12. If you split the Spotify, then it may be cheaper. So fund and subscriptions come to a total of £277, which is 9% of the budget. And I think this should be anywhere from 10 to 15%. So this could be upped. But again, it depends on what your goals are, because as you can see, I've put 15% of this budget towards investment and savings, which I personally think should be the goal, maybe even 20% for this type of salary. But yeah, depending on what your goals are, you could alter that. Then we've got giving and donating. Again, depending on who you are, but I think at least for a £3,000 salary, net salary a month, you should at least be given £50 a month, which is equivalent to 2% of your salary, which is quite low. I think 5 to 10% really is what you should be aiming for. But yeah, I've put 2% here, and giving could be whatever it may be for you. Now, life events and sinking funds, I live by these, I love these. My Monzo pots, I always speak about, and that tends to be a video that constantly gets views actually. But I love these life events or sinking funds. So birthdays, I put £30 a month. Holidays and vacation, I put £150 a month, which is equivalent to £1,800 a year. Now, I think if you are a single person, £1,800 a year, you can get yourself in maybe 1 or potentially 2 holidays a year, depending on how you holiday, where you're going, how you spend when you're on holiday. But I think everyone needs a break. So £150 a month is a good amount to put towards that. £30 a month for Christmas and £30 a month for car maintenance. You know, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, I've just had an MOT and I now need to fork out money for this. So it's always good to put some money aside for these types of things. So life events and sinking funds is 8%, which I think is a good amount, anywhere from 5 to 10% for this. Now, debt repayments, I've put £100 for a credit card, assuming this person has a credit card that they're trying to pay down and get to zero. So this is only 3% of the person's budget. However, this could be 0% if you have no debt, but it could be as much as 10% depending on how much debt you have. So if you have quite a bit of debt, then you would probably increase that and have to decrease your investment and savings until you've got that debt down to zero, and you can kind of do a switch. And then we've got investment and savings, which this category I think is so important. So I've put £50 a month for an emergency fund, towards an emergency fund, and £400 towards investments. You could switch that really. You could maybe put £200 a month for emergency fund and £150 a month to investments. What has that done? Has that changed it? Okay, I've got £100. £250 there. Okay, yeah, so that's balanced it out. So you could switch it like that until you've got your emergency fund to a place that's healthy, so 3 to 6 months worth of your expenses, and then, you know, once you've got that there, then you can put it all towards investments. And remember, this is in addition to pension contributions, so that goes without saying. This is probably going into a stocks and shares ISA or a LISA, depending on what you're trying to do. But yeah, this category I think is essential every single month you want to make sure that you're putting money away towards future you. You don't just want to be paying bills and paying other people. You always want to make sure that you're setting yourself up for your future. So again, this is 15% of the total budget, and I think this 15 to 20% for this type of salary is what the goal should be, personally, for me. And lastly, I've put £100 for other. This is just for all the miscellaneous things that always tend to crop up every month that you don't know that they're going to come. But I think £100 a month is good for that. So that is 3% of the budget. So as you can see, that's totaled 100%. So everything has been accounted for and budgeted for. And I think this is overall a pretty healthy budget for this kind of salary. So that is how I personally would budget a £51,000 annual salary. As I said, next video I'll go up to 61,000 and then I'll probably end at 71,000. Unless you want me to go higher than that, let me know. But yeah, I hope this has given you some ideas, some inspiration to get budgeting if you haven't started budgeting. I cannot stress this enough. It has been a complete game changer to my life. It's allowed me to consistently save and invest, pay down debt, and really just progress my life, make sure that I'm enjoying it also on the journey. So it's not just about being restrictive, it's about making sure that you've got money to cover everything that you need in order to have a healthy, wholesome, and happy life. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching and joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video real soon.